Hi everybody, this is Kristen from A Voice and a View. Here to do another video, and it's been pretty rainy here the last 3-4 days. I finally got out and walked my dog today, and it dried up a little bit, and so it was nice to get out and about without getting rained on, even though I love the rain. But yeah, there's quite a few days there. So I hope you're all doing well. And today's healing lesson is called Release the Programming. And so I wanted to start out this video, and I got the idea today on my walk about noticing that a lot of people are kind of like in this trance, like they're going through their day-to-day and doing the same things, and well, I guess I got my idea from being in traffic. And here there's quite a bit more traffic, and you have to wait. It could be anywhere from 2 to 4 green lights before you get through an intersection. And there's quite a few people waiting. And there's other side streets for anyone that wants to make a left or a right to go down and go around the traffic. But I've just been noticing that there's so many that just wait, wait and wait and wait. And it's almost like they're in a trance, and I don't know why it's bugging me so much, but I take side streets all the time to avoid a lot of traffic or construction, or I'll take a different way just to see what's around the corner. And I don't want to wait in line for 15 minutes trying to get through a light, But I just noticed, I don't really see a lot of people turning off to try to avoid traffic. And they'll just sit there and sit there and sit there and wait until it's their turn. And so I don't know, I guess it triggered a little thing I'm noticing. But it just reminds me of people being programmed, to do what they're supposed to do, what they're used to doing, sitting in traffic at the same light every day, just waiting and waiting and waiting to get home and do that same thing all over again, And so this also brings up another subject, which I know nobody really wants to hear. And I'm not going to say the word because of Facebook, the censoring and all that happy jazz. But the COVID. So yeah, it brought, I remembered a lot of things that happened during that time frame, and early on during that crazy time, I got really sick, and I was sick for, it was probably like 5 weeks. It was a long time, and I couldn't get better, and this was when everybody was inside, and nobody wanted to leave the house, and everybody was in scared mood. And I don't exactly remember, things that were going on around that time, but what I didn't realize was that God was waking me up. And I started going outside more, even though they kept telling us, you're not supposed to go outside, you're not supposed to leave, you're only supposed to go to necessary places, like the grocery store, the gas station. And I started going outside a lot more and going down to the lake and taking pictures, and I started getting better. And after some time, I finally realized that it wasn't COVID. Oops, COVID. It was lack of sunlight, vitamin D. And I started getting better quickly, and then I started just going down to the lake all the time. And even though, wasn't supposed to go anywhere, you're only supposed to go to work and, the necessary places. Well, I started doing the opposite. I started kind of challenging the system. And I was getting really frustrated on being told what to do. And so yeah, I started going down to the lake all the time and driving around. And I remember there was yellow tape that was blocking off parking spaces, down by the lake. Like it was detrimental that you don't park there because you're going to get the 6-letter word. And I'm thinking, why? I didn't understand it. So I started noticing other things. I'd go into a store, and I went into a big corporation store, and all of the garden seeds were taped off. And you couldn't buy seeds to grow in your garden. And another red flag. So I'm like, why would that be, or why would that have anything to do with, the situation? So I kept seeing all these flags. And the mask thing never, I did it a little bit in the beginning. And then I was waking up at this point, like, I'm not wearing a mask. And so a lot of the stores that I went to, I literally just challenged the system. I didn't wear one. And I had so many nasty looks. And, I had a lot of comments, a lot of nasty comments towards me. A lot of stare downs, just a lot of people from the workers in the stores, very angry, and it was just crazy. And I literally got screamed at when I went into a store. It was a convenience store. And I literally got screamed at and told to leave. So I got kicked out. And I've never been back since. There was those workers that respected my wishes not to wear one. Because I know there was a few others that were, in the same time or the same frame of mind. But there wasn't many. And so I just did my own thing. A lot of people did not like me not wearing one. I know quite a few that wore one and literally wouldn't come out of their house. Kept thinking they were going to get sick, and that everybody, that the few of us were going to be spreading it everywhere. No. But the 6-letter word was more of a control experiment kind of thing. To see what choice you would make. To see, if you would take that thing or not, if you would follow the rules, if you would wear the mask or not. Are you going to follow the arrows in that store on which direction to go? I'm rolling my eyes, guys. Literally. I remember one instance when a family member was in school, and they had arrows going from one class all the way around the school, and they ended at the class that was next to the first arrow. Okay, so it went all the way around the school. And this person had to go to the bathroom. And he was right where those two arrows were. One on each side of the classroom, one going in one direction and one going the other. And because he was on one side of the arrow, the teacher told him to go all the way around the school to the opposite arrow to go to the bathroom. And literally, he was pretty much right there by the bathroom already, starting out. And I thought to myself, are you kidding me? And I mean, just ridiculous things like that were happening, not just where I'm talking about. This was happening all over the place. You're getting things blared over the radio station. Just everything around you was trying to scare you. It was trying to keep you in those lower frequencies, trying to keep you scared, trying to keep you controlled, trying to keep you doing what you were told to do. And I completely went in the opposite direction. And I know many, many people did as well, And I'm not going to keep going on and on about the whole 6-letter word thing. But this was a huge, huge programming situation. It got people so scared that they didn't want to leave their house, that they didn't want to go outside and breathe fresh air. And actually, I remember this. I remember that, I started out with like this as well, because I remember walking by a certain person and saying, because he was on his way back outside, and I literally said, hold your breath until you get in the car. So I was falling for it too. And I look back now and I'm like, wow. I mean, once I started waking up, guys, I started, like I said before, you start seeing from like an eagle's eye view, looking down at the actual situation and seeing through the bullshit. Excuse my French, but that's exactly what it was. It was a control mechanism. And it's, still going on. But when we talk about programming, this can be concerning so many different subjects. What I want you to think about is who is in control of you. Who is making your decisions? This is all about choice. choice to be free or not. Not just about the freedom of your country, but you as being a sovereign being and making your own choices. And there was programs in control of everyone that they were trying. And, during that time. But a lot of people woke up to a lot of the programming going on. But, the real situation is, are you going to let anyone control you? As a child of God, as a sovereign being, because it is your birthright to be sovereign, to have that real freedom and make your own choices? Or are you going to let everything else around you control you in every way? That's the real freedom. Everybody, well, I wouldn't say everybody, but most people look at freedom as, freedom for your country. But it goes deeper than that. It's about you. Because when you change your world, when you change yourself on the inside, when you change and heal on the inside, you're going to change your outer world. Because it's a mirror and it's going to be a reflection of you and what you want in your life. So the more you wake up, the more you can see the programming around you. Just like movies and television, they have programming algorithms. The more you watch it, it's programming you. Look around you and see everything that is trying to program you. AI. There's so many things. But the more you heal yourself, open your chakras, do the shadow work, look that up, go within yourself, heal from the inside out, you're going to see everything change around you. And you're going to start to see things shift to more of what you want in the world. And it's crazy how it works, guys, but it does. Because I've experienced it. It's like when my view started changing of everything, and I could see from a higher view of the control that was happening with the people and the populations of all countries. Things started changing around me. The more I healed within myself, the more things were reflected in my outside world. And the more things that I focused on. It's amazing that I started seeing things in stores and, things that I really liked that were really not, that popular. But all of a sudden, what I was focusing on was like manifesting in my reality, guys. It's crazy, I know, but I would start going to stores and I would start seeing all of this stuff that was never in the stores before. It was like I was focusing on it, and the power of thought, the power of your beliefs, and the power of your frequency changes your world around you into more of a world that you want to see for yourself, and what you believe in and what you enjoy, and the things that start creating your world from the power of thought. So systems don't want you to believe that you have the power to do that, but you sure do. Because I've done it myself. So I know it's possible. And I've been on this journey a long time, but there's a lot of stages in between with this Great Awakening journey, but let me tell you, it's been a ride. But, the more things that I work on, the more things that I realize, and the more things that I learn about in my inside world and outside world, the more things I'm being shown with my abilities. Things change in my world. Things start changing around me. And it's hard to explain. But you got to learn to get out of that programmed state of mind. You got to be able to think for yourself. You got to be able to look at every situation and say, okay, what's happening around me? Why is that happening? And I have a choice. I have a choice to go with it or not. Really, nobody can really make you do anything. Because you're your own little universe. You're your own world. You create your own world. And the more you create from that inner space to understand and overstand what's going on around you, the more you can change in your outside world. And not have to submit to someone or something else with control, with them controlling you. So I'm not going to go too much more into this, but and I could really make a really long video on this, but I'm not going to. But the main reason I wanted to do this was because I want you to be able to think for yourself and not go along with every little thing that goes over social media, that you have to comment on, that you have to give your point of view. And I used to do the same thing, guys. So I'm not saying that I'm any different. But what I'm saying, what I learned from that, okay, is that I made things worse for myself when I did that. The more you comment, the more you... I wouldn't say, that you can't comment. I'm just saying do it respectfully. You have a different view, and you have every right to have your different view. But the programs, everything that's programming us, your programs on TV, programs, they're trying to get you fighting. They're trying to get you back and forth. As long as you're not going back and forth and fighting and constantly focusing outside of yourself, the more they can keep you doing that, the less likely you're going to be saying, oh, I need to do healing work. I need to go inside myself and heal. They will program you in any way possible to keep you from realizing the most important thing is to go within yourself and find what needs to be healed within yourself. And you will see everything change. You'll see all your behaviors change, your view change, your emotions change, your outside world change, your triggers change. It changed, in my world, it changed my emotional eating problem. I don't do that stuff anymore. I may have like one bigger meal a day, but other than that, it's like I really don't eat most of the day. I lost a lot of my appetite, and that's part of the process as well. You'll realize that your appetite changes. But I don't drink, rarely. And here's another revelation, guys. Why are alcoholic drinks called spirits? You see bars called, Tavern and Spirits or whatever. This is a hard one, but yeah. When you drink, you open up that channel for other spirits to enter you. That's why your behavior changes. And let me tell you guys, I've seen some really crazy situations with that. So anyways, when your inside world changes, right, internally, your outside world will change. And the less you spend online fighting about this, that, and the other thing, about your beliefs on whatever subject it is, the more you let go of that, because all of that stuff also creates karma, guys. All the nasty comments, all the, let me tell you. But yeah, the more you let go of all of that fighting back and forth on social media and your outside world, the more control you have, the more freedom you have, the more ideas and creations you can create, and find so much more time doing other things that you enjoy, compared to stay in that competition mode from working from an ego space, instead of your heart space. And when you make all these changes and you work through your lower chakras and work more in the higher chakras, your heart chakra, your, upward, and work on achieving Christ consciousness, you're going to realize that everything changes in your world, and you can change your emotions, your triggers, your everything. How you react to certain behaviors. You're going to find that you're not going to be able to get triggered in a lot of situations that you used to. And I used to get triggered. For the people that used to know me, I could get triggered when I get upset. But I have found so much control in how I react to things, and for the most part, once in a while I have a hard time, but it's really not that hard. And then if I do, then I start doing my affirmations, my I ams. I meditate for a little bit, I'll do all of the things that help me calm myself and get back into that frequency. So anyways, that's about it, guys. And I hope you think about some of this stuff, and I hope you're applying it into your everyday, because it makes such a difference. And if you are doing some of these lessons, drop a comment here or there and let me know if these are helping, or if you're noticing a change, if you're noticing your outside world is changing, let me know and drop me a line. So anyways, that's about it, guys. And hope you enjoyed this healing lesson. And this is Kristen from A Voice in a View. Have a good night, guys. Peace, love, and light. Bye.